Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. The brothers Max and here with you, of course. I'm Nate. That's Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
And of course, this week we continue our journey through the Clash of the Champions. We are November 20th, 1990. We're almost out of 1990, and boy, oh boy, what a clash this is. To end 1990. November 20th, like I said, 1990, it is Clash of the Champions 13, Thanksgiving Thunder. Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get into my yays and nays as we go on. But so I don't really have anything else to talk about off the top. If you want, are we doing the Wayback Machine this week?
Oh, I have them. But like you said, it's Clash of the Champions 13, Thanksgiving Thunder, the Veterans Memorial Coliseum, Jacksonville, Florida. According to what I read, they had 5,000 people, which isn't a bad house. And like you said, we're getting to the Wayback Machine. As some of these performers were pulling up, listening to modern day music, like the Big Cat. He's pulling up in his,
Oof.
I don't know what Big Cat would be driving.
Probably a Plymouth.
Yeah, or some cat. I don't know. Thinking about Big Cat in an escort cracks me up.
I think actually it's funny. It's funny. My wife and I were just talking the other day, and I said, almost everybody because I had one in 2000 or like 2000 or 2001 or something. Everybody between the years of 1995 and 2005, everybody at some point owned an Escort.
Yeah.
Everybody owned a fucking Ford Escort.
Well, even her dad in I don't know what year they broke up or whatever, but when we went to Florida to see Grandma, that's what we traveled in.
Yeah, a little Escort.
A little Escort all the way to Florida.
Oh, mine had that annoying ass seatbelt that was on the rail or whatever, that when you shut the car, like it closed on, like the seatbelt came on you. You couldn't not have it on.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Right. Like I was just thinking about that the other day, like the trip to Florida. It's like they just put the back seat down, like you could fold the seat down to make it like a flat deal. Yeah. Like they just stuck us back there. I remember laying on like they put blankets down and I'll just sleep or play, whatever.
If this little car rolls, we're dead.
Yeah, we're all gone anyway. But as Big Cat's pulling up to the Veterans Memorial Coliseum, these are the two songs that were probably played. And you can guess if you want. It's up to you. But one of them is a male performer. That's number 2. And then the number 1 song is a megastar female performer. I think she'd be considered a megastar.
I don't know.
I don't
think on the songs I have a guess.
All right. Well, do you want number 1 or number 2 first?
Start with number 2 first.
Number 2 is Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice.
Okay.
Yes. A bunch of little kids out on the playground going, "Word to your mother."
If you got a problem, I'll solve it.
Check out the hook while the DJ revolves. As I've gotten older, he's like, "I'm Ice back." It's like, you weren't with a brand new edition. It's like, you weren't here before. How are you back? And I'm man enough to admit it's not a bad 90s rap song. You know what I mean? Like it's got it's not bad. Not bad. But the number 1 song in America at this time was Love Takes Time by Mariah Carey.
Okay. I wasn't thinking Mariah yet.
At one point, she was a megastar, so I'll say
I always
that.
she was. But no, like I don't know why. Maybe because it was the time that I was in high school and her videos were one of the most amazing things on television. But
Oh, she was super hot,
yeah,
man.
but I always forget that Mariah was around that early. Like I always think of Mariah Carey from like 93, 94, 95.
Yeah.
I always forget that she was around like 90, 91 and shit. I always forget. You know, it's another
There was a
song. Another
there was a
song.
point where she was like, Jesus Christ, look at Mariah Carey. Oh my God.
The Dream
Not
Lover
saying she's
video.
not attractive now
Yeah,
anymore, you know, but just back then it's like, oh,
the Dream Lover video.
anyway.
Oof.
Oh, God damn, look at her.
But there's another song that was out, I think, during this time in 1990 that I'd like to just give an honorable mention to. And it's because it came up, like my Spotify played it a couple of days ago, and you know it always shows you like when the song was out and stuff.
Yeah.
Little fun little song that was out around this time was "Wiggle It Just a Little Bit."
A little bit. Yeah.
I don't even remember what the group's called, but that song was
I don't
out
remember.
around this time.
Something that was stupid that I always did was like, for some reason, like every time I hear that song, like in my mind, I'm not saying like I'm Weird Al, but you ever hear a song and in your mind you think of like a funny thing that it could be,
Yeah.
and then you think like every time I hear that song, for some reason I thought of like Winnie the Pooh. I was like, pig a lips, just a little pig. Or or that one song where it's like, you ever heard that one song where it's like where they're like, I'm only just one call away.
Yeah.
And he's like, Superman. You know that song I'm talking about?
Yep.
Like in my mind, I always, for some reason, like when that guy's Superman, you know, like I always just combine Soldier Boy with it. So it's always like one call away, Superman. That hoe. Like I just think about that guy saying it that way. But anyway,
Oh, that
those are the two
song's Superman. What, Five for Fighting? Is that who it is? Folded red sheet. I always say 40 red sheep. And I told my buddy that one time. It came. We were driving somewhere for work, and it came on the radio. And I said, when he says folded red sheet, it sounds like he says 40 red sheep. And then he heard it, and he was like, "You motherfucker! I'm never gonna unhear that."
Well,
but anyway,
just like that meme that came out years ago where it was Ozzy and it was like, "Oh, lawn chair."
Yeah.
Every time I hear that song, I hear, "Oh, lawn chair." But 2 movies. You want to try to guess them?
I definitely want to try to guess number one.
All right. What's number one?
It's holiday 1990. Number one has to be Home Alone.
It is.
Yeah, there's no doubt. One of the
funny fucking movie.
I love that fucking movie.
2's good too.
Yeah, but one is just one
but,
is.
One's a great fucking movie. I don't. Anybody that wants to fight me on it,
animal.
Yeah, anybody that wants to fight me on it, it's fine. But I'll fight them all day because it's like when you even watch it as a kid, it's funny because it's got like slaps. It's I don't know if this is gonna sound accurate or seem off, whatever. But the movie itself, as a kid, it's like watching live action Looney Tunes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
and
it's Wile and the Roadrunner,
and
with actual people.
As a child, for the age that he was, Macaulay Culkin was a fantastic comedic actor.
Oh, he was.
Like the facial expressions and I don't know, just he was so good, man.
Yeah, and as a kid, you're watching it and you're like, this kid is awesome. You know, and like in Home Alone 2, you're like, oh man, he's got like a big a hotel and a limousine and a cheese pizza, and he gets to hang out at a toy store. This kid's fucking awesome. And you're older than me, obviously, but like when I was in school, Macaulay Culkin was like huge, you know,
Yeah.
and I was a small blonde-haired kid in inner city Toledo school, and kids actually called me McAllister. They're like, "What's up, McAllister?" Like, ugh, 'cause I looked like
little,
fucking Macaulay Culkin.
little blonde
But
kid.
anyway, yeah. But even like as I got older and watched the movie, I'm like, this fucking movie's layered, man. There's like
That
great.
is literally it, and a lot of people or a lot of marketing things or whatever use the expression. They use the expression in advertisement all the time. But Home Alone is one of those movies that literally, when the guy says that he's not lying, it's for the whole family.
Yeah, it's got all kind like there's really good fucking jokes in it, and there's some like adult humor in there. It's like, yeah, it's a good fucking movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his uncle dancing the cool jerk. It's like everybody's got like that uncle, you know, like and that family, and yeah, it's a great fucking movie. And then number two is a boring movie.
Number two, I don't know. I don't know what number two would be, honestly.
Number two is Dances with Wolves.
Oof.
That movie's long and boring.
It is. It is.
One of those movies where it's like I remember watching it and be like, nothing's happening in this movie.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. For some reason, from
And
like
I like
90.
Kevin Costner. So I was
Yeah,
like, this
same.
movie's boring.
He's another one of those people like we were talking about, like an actor. Like Kevin Costner is a great actor, but probably only about 40% of the stuff that he's into I actually enjoy myself to watch. Honestly.
Yeah.
And it was like from like 90 to 94, one of the things in the movies was to do like boring movie, and I'm not degrading the stories of Native Americans at all, but to make boring Native American story movies like Last of the Mohicans.
It's because we started finally feeling bad about what we did.
Right.
We're like, oh, I feel bad.
And there are some things that are, based on Native American stories that I think are fantastic. But that string of movies and maybe, I don't know, I haven't watched them since then. Maybe as an adult, I would feel differently about them. But as a kid, I thought
No, they're still boring. There's points in movies where we start to like feel bad about shit. There are points in our country where we start to feel bad about shit we did, and we're like, oh, everybody's got to make a movie about it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a point. Like, and I don't want to denigrate anything that we did to people because we really did bad things. Like in the '80s, like it's like, oh, Roots, like, or was Roots in the '70s or '80s? '70s,
early 80s, I think, actually.
or late '70s, early '80s. Like Roots came out because everybody was like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that.
Anybody that hasn't, if you want to see a portrayal of what, we'll get into wrestling in like 30 seconds. But if you want to see a portrayal, like a real gritty, will punch you in the gut portrayal of how we really treated Native Americans, it's not a small part, but it's a half part of the rest of the series. But if you haven't checked out 1923, the prequel series to Yellowstone that has Harrison Ford in it.
I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, one of the plot flows through that deals with the Native American girl and her family and stuff, and it is very much a punch in the gut to see as like if you don't know how those people were actually treated. But anyway, I'm not going to get on a soapbox. That's not what this show's about. It's happy times.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. It's happy times. But it's not Native American people. But did you ever watch Hell on Wheels? Did you ever watch that show?
No.
Well, what it's about is the American Railroad getting built,
Mhm.
And they do a really good job at showing how shitty we were to Chinese people at that point, like having them build the railroads and just
Yeah, we
how we treat.
we've pretty much generally been shitty.
Yeah,
And there's this romanticized vision of America, but
we were
the way
like, people were like,
the
I
way
wish we could go back to the way it used to
no,
be.
I
Like,
absolutely hate
no,
the worst expression
up.
the worst expression in the world is good old days. What good
Eh,
old days?
for us, they were good. It's like the Louis C.K. joke. Like, I could go back in time at any point and be fine.
Right.
Like, we have a table right up front for you, sir. He goes, but if I had a time machine, I'd never want to go into the future. That's gonna be terrible.
All right.
All right.
Class 13. Jacksonville, Florida. The Jacksonville Memorial Coliseum, like Aaron said, according to Wikipedia here, 5,000 in attendance. And this is one of those arenas that is no longer in existence. I always look when I
Think about it, I do. Like, what is this now? Oh, it's I'm trying to think of a stupid name for a building.
Yeah, there's plenty of them. It's the Domino's Pizza Dome.
Yeah. It's the Dave and Buster's Memorial Coliseum. I
Memorial.
didn't know Dave or Buster were dead, but okay.
So yeah, like I said, this is Class 13. We're headed towards Starcade 90 Collision Course. And does this Clash music only remind me of the song Owner of a Lonely Heart?
No, that's what they were going for.
Okay. I'm like, maybe so. I do that sometimes with you and Chad too on Reliving the Extreme. I'm like, do these guys hear the same thing that I hear?
But no, if I remember right, as a kid, this wasn't like WWE Network music. They used.
No, this was I remember this little tune, this little ditty from when I was a kid on watching it on TBS.
And another thing I remembered about Owner of the Lonely Hearts was Vince used it in WWE,
Yep,
but he used the actual song.
Yes.
And I remember it because there's a insane Piper's Pit, and he has Ted Arcidi on it, and he's like, "Show him your strength, Ted," because like Ted's all coked out, and
Right.
Piper's coked out, and they're like, "Show him your strength, Ted," and like Ted picks up a table and just starts lifting it as they go into commercial, and Piper's going like being Piper, and Arcidi's coked out or whatever, and he's just lifting the table as Owner of the Lonely Hearts. He's like, what the fuck is going on?
Wrestling.
But anyway,
going to wrestling.
Going to wrestling.
We got
Great
Jim Ross and Paul Heyman, or Paulie Dangerously, as he is referred to here. Jim Ross and Paulie Dangerously commentating together. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Okay,
just saying, I always like these guys together.
They do have a chemistry. And
like when he replaced, I know we're talking about WCW, but like when he replaced Lawler, when Lawler left for that brief time, it's like nobody else could have done that.
Right.
But yeah, they're really good together.
All right, so quick question. We're obviously Ross and Lawler we'll just take that combo out of the equation, okay?
Yeah.
So do you prefer Ross and Dangerously or Ross and Cornette?
Honestly, I prefer Ross and Dangerously, because I do prefer when like my announced team's a little combative with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Cornette and Ross weren't really combative,
Yeah.
Like Cornette didn't when Cornette commentated, he didn't really commentate as a heel.
Right.
when they do like their little stand-ups or whatever, he'd do it a little bit, but like when the match was going on, he was kind of like, I'm trying to think of like a heel commentator, like kind of like Jesse, like when the match was going on, Jesse always wasn't a heel
Right.
type commentator, like he kind of called the action in it. I don't know if that makes sense,
No, it does.
but Paulie,
The
go
like
ahead.
Jesse, the only like Jesse, especially when he commentated with Monsoon. When he commentated with Monsoon, he would still, you obviously you knew he was the guy from the heel locker room, but he was just more of a color analyst and not over dramatic with the heelish.
Yeah, like
Now,
even like when Piper was a baby face, he'd be like, "Oh, that's my tag team partner. I like
yeah,
Roddy Piper."
yeah,
Or like when Randy turned good, he was still like, none of you were on Randy's bandwagon. I've always been on it,
yeah.
But Paul was just always a fucking heel, and I enjoyed that about it.
So our
So
opening,
and I liked those two arguing with each. I love
mhm,
listening to Jim Ross and Paul Heyman argue with each other.
mhm, the Southern guy and the Yankee.
Yeah.
Our opening match is another match between the Freebirds and the Southern Boys, and at least at this time, at least on this show, the Freebirds don't look like a KKK rally or something.
No, they look weird.
They look weird, but they're not stars and bars head to toe.
Like if Bob Cottle was there, he's like, they're weird.
Yeah, they look weird, man.
Oh, weird. They look weird, man.
This was
They got little Richard Marley with them. Their best friend in the world, little Richard Marley.
the first match. Well, this match was supposed to be a 6-man. I
But
assume
apparently they took out El Gigante.
yes, it was supposed to be the Freebirds and Bobby Eaton against the Southern Boys and El Gigante. And Michael Hayes does this stupid riff on how if you want to find El Gigante, find the box. We pretty much like we stuffed him in a box and labeled it Argentina.
Argentina. Yeah, it's stupid.
But anyway,
Man, this like when they came out as the Glam Freebirds, I'm like, man, these Freebirds just keep getting worse and worse and worse.
and it's like you say, and I agree with you all the time. Ain't nothing like the original. And
if they were anything but the Freebirds, I
mm-hmm.
might be okay with it. It's like this keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, and to me, like it kind of like we've alluded to before, it's the world class Freebirds for me. I know that they had the loose association because they were all heels together with Garvin, so he was kind of an honorable Freebird. But I totally agree with you. Hayes and Garvin should have used a different name.
I did. There was one point where little Richard Marley gets hit, and Michael PSA's cracked me up. She looked at the referee. I think the referee was that Jack Atkinson, or not Jack Atkinson. Oh, if you ordered Randy Anderson off to me,
yeah,
was that
yeah,
guy's name?
the bushy mustache guy. Yeah,
yeah. He's like a cross between Nick Patrick and Randy. I can't remember.
So we're gonna call him Randy Patrick.
Yeah, Randy Patrick. Like, I think it was Tracy.
It sounds like a gimmick from a British 70s comedy show. Here comes Randy Patrick.
Randy Patrick.
Hello, ladies.
Hello, I'm very Randy.
I'm Randy Patrick.
Randy Patrick.
Anyway,
Randy Patcock. But Tracy Smothers hits little Richard Marley, and Michael PSA's did crack me up. Okay, because I'm not knocking Jimmy Garvin or Mike Hayes' performers. I just think the presentation was terrible. But Smothers hits him, and he looks at the referee, and Michael Hayes goes, "He hit our very best friend." and I thought it was funny because they introduced Little Richard Marley, as the fabulous Freebirds with their very best
Yeah.
friend, Little Richard Marley. And Mike Hayes, in the moment, was like, "Ah, they hit our very best friend." I don't know. I thought it was funny.
Playing up the gimmick.
Anyway,
The match itself is probably
it's
the
good.
lesser, but it's not bad, but it's the lesser of the Southern Boys
Yeah,
Freebirds matches that we've seen in this series anyway, I think.
it's like, it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah. Little Richard Marley, of course, Rocket King, but Little Richard Marley,
Not Rocky Dennis. It's Rocky King.
not Rocky Dennis, Rocky King. He trips Tracy Smothers into a DDT by Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes gets the pin, and the Freebirds go over the Southern Boys here on the Clash of Champions. Southern Boys are about to get a name change. But
Yes. And in like a couple months they'll be heels.
yeah. Anything else on that before we move along?
Nope.
And then I wrote down Tony Schiavone is here with the WCW World Champion Denim Sting.
That was like I put confused thing.
Well,
He's still confused.
he's still confused. He's been dealing with these magic shows, these infamous magic shows. It's ridiculous that I have this in my notes. Sting's been dealing with these infamous magic shows.
Yes, and Sting saying, like, he's in his interview, and he's wanting to go face to face with the Black Scorpion, and he seems like he's on point, like I'm ready for this. And then all of a sudden, Black Scorpion starts talking over the PA, and Sting's befuddled again, and the Black Scorpion is promising us that he's gonna show us later on his powers of black magic.
My great powers of black magic. So I've always thought, I don't think that they had Ole Anderson, or Ole Anderson booked it. So I don't think Ole Anderson ever had himself do this voice live over the intercom or over the speaker system, because the Black Scorpion does not speak conversationally.
Nope.
Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, Sting will be talking and the Black Scorpion's just still talking. Like, so I think Ole just recorded it and they just played it. It would have been better if he would have said it like over the speaker system, so that it could have been a conversational. I'm breaking down the Black Scorpion like it makes any fucking sense anyway. But
yeah, it's kind of like you should have done it over the PA system, like when Shane and Bruce Pritchard did Kai and Tai.
Yeah.
Did you know that was Shane?
Yes.
Yeah, I learned that like a year or so ago. I'm like, oh, I knew it was. I always knew it was Bruce, but I was like, I didn't know the other one was Shane. But yeah, Sting's trying to cut his promo, and he seems like he's all jacked up. He's ready to go face to face with the Black Scorpion, and the Black Scorpion's voice goes over the PA, and it just throws him for a loop. He gets all confused again.
We're all confused at this point, Sting, because this is stupid.
And when he was like, my powers of the black magic and everything, it's like, it should have been Norman Smiley. That would have been fun.
You will feel the big wiggle. Buddy Landell and Flying Brian is the next match. I liked this match.
I did too. So much so that I don't have a lot of notes on it. But go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say they spend some time working outside for a little bit. Buddy gets, I mean, they actually in this match they packed like a lot in like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty competitive and back and forth. Both guys looked good. the high cross body. One of the notes, I guess I must have loved it because I wrote down love that high cross body by Pillman on the outside of the ring. So apparently that happened, and in the moment I took a note about that.
Yeah, and he ends up winning the match with a flying crossbody, which was Pillman's finisher.
Mm-hmm.
And Pillman's fucking crossbody when he was healthy was insane.
Yeah.
But like I put a note and then I put in parentheses discussion. Sometimes I do that, like when we do RTE, if I want to like talk to you guys about something. But watching the match, like my thing was like if both of these guys, one of them could have lived longer, obviously with Pillman, but like my main thing is like with both of these guys, if they could have stayed straight and got out of their own way, they would have had so much bigger careers, I think.
I have said that forever about Landell. I love.
I know Pillman had. I know Pillman had a great career, but
Pillman. No, what I've always said is Brian Pillman would have had if Brian Pillman would not have had his accident. He would have been one of the generational stars of the late 90s, maybe even into the early 2000s. He still had that. It was after that. What was it? Was it a motorcycle accident or a car accident?
Oh, he crashed an SUV.
Yeah, and after he had to
shattered his ankle.
Yeah, after that, and he got the pain pills, and it changed his ring style, and then he got his addictions. Just he would have been if that would have never happened. I honestly do think he would have been like up there with Austin and Rock and Triple H and Foley as just a generational talent for that era of wrestling.
And I know his wife was a train wreck too, but like on Pillman's DVD that like WWE put out, you know, it's like a quick blurb that she says, but I think it was a point where she might have had some clarity in their life. And it's during the discussion where Jim Ross is talking about drug testing Brian Pillman.
Mm-hmm.
And Ross is talking about how like that kind of hurt their relationship a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Pillman was like, "They're coming after me. This is my gimmick. I don't understand. I'm just doing my gimmick." And Melanie Pillman said, "I told Brian it's like crashing 7 cars and like losing a couple of your rental cars. That's not a gimmick,
right?
Like settle the fuck down." Like is what she basically was saying was like, settle the fuck down, man. And it's like I don't know, but I just think both of these guys could have been so much bigger in their careers than they were.
For sure.
And like I just think they both got in their own ways, I think.
Yep, I absolutely. Again, like I said, I think that with Landell, it's a different kind of getting your own way because I don't know that Pillman. I think Pillman probably could have been okay if he wouldn't have had that initial, problem, the injury and stuff. The next match on this show,
Landell's was more self-induced.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. The next match on the show. All right, so you got Curtis Hughes, who will go on to become Mr. Hughes, of course, but right now he is just Big Cat. And I wrote down, I forgot before the Mr. Hughes gimmick that he was one of those guys that loved to use the word daddy and baby, because in this Clash of the Champions, he is overdoing it, calling other men daddy and baby.
Yes.
What if you said that to a man? What if you said that to a man in a bar when you were about to fight? Come fight me, daddy.
Come on, Daddy. You want
Come
to
get,
take this out? You
come,
want to take this into the alley, Daddy?
you want to,
No.
you
No,
want
I
to,
don't.
you want to step outside,
Come on.
baby?
You want to step outside, baby? Like, what?
Shit. I've always thought that was like, it's like whenever wrestlers do that shit, I'm like, why you call that guy daddy?
Like, come on, baby.
uh,
You want to settle this, Daddy? Like, excuse me?
Big Cat is not the only wrestler that's guilty of it, but he is
He's
definitely
not.
liberal with it.
Yes, he is. But in the defense of it, I actually like Big Cat Curtis Hughes more than Mr. Hughes as a
Really?
wrestler. Yes, as a wrestler, like in the ring,
Mm-hmm.
like watching him work. I like Mr. Hughes as like a gimmick and as a bodyguard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Big Cat, like I'd rather watch the Big Cat wrestle than Mr. Hughes. Um, I don't like either one of it like enough to be like, oh, he was great. But
Right.
he's like now wrestling one of my favorite wrestlers. So I was like indifferent to it, but I'm like, well, this is like I shouldn't say indifferent. I'm like, this is the best Curtis Hughes match I've ever watched because he's wrestling Brad Armstrong,
Brad Armstrong, the Candy Man.
the Candy Man. Um,
Why did you have to call Brad Armstrong the Candy Man?
because they tried to call him the Arachna Man, and they got sued.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember Arachna Man.
Yeah, like, um, this is how much I discount the career of Mr. Hughes. The greatest thing ever in the history of Mr. Hughes was that, like,
Oh, when he takes like 5 minutes, it feels like 5 minutes to read a card that says "Rest in peace."
oh no, that's funny because he reads that card and he's staring at it and he goes, and it's on roll and he's like, oh, and he's looking at it, he goes, oh, rest in peace, and that's how long of a pause it was. And then he rips up the wreath, and Vince throws him under the bus and he goes, it took him that long to read that. That's funny. But to me, the greatest thing anybody ever did with Mr. Hughes was whoever made the YouTube video inducting him into the WWE
No,
Hall of
yeah,
Fame,
yeah.
where he's like cutting a promo in front of like that corn stalk, and they go to like Ric Flair, and Ric Flair's obviously not talking about Mr. Hughes, he's talking about Harley Race, and he's like, to me, he's the greatest wrestler ever lived.
That is
And they're
that
just showing you
is one of
different
my that is one
images
of
of
my
Mr.
favorite
Hughes.
that is one of my favorite YouTube videos.
Oh,
It's up there. It's up there
it's
for
it,
me. It's up there for me with the Mantar coming out to Finn Balor's music.
oh, it's up there with me with Stone Cold piece of shit, and like it's up there with me because it's like I found the Stone Cold piece of shit with Buddy Hayes or Billy Hayes cutting that. I don't know, I say Buddy Hayes, but Billy Hayes cutting that promo out in that fucking dirt field or whatever. What the Stone Cold piece of shit woman beater with his big wig on. And it's like I found that and showed it to you guys, and then I found that Curtis Hughes Hall of Fame thing and showed it to you guys. And like, this shit's insane. Like that would be a fun show. Is us just finding all these stupid YouTube things. But anyway, um, we're getting lost in the weeds.
Yeah, Big Cat wins this match with a rack because there's like a little sub story with Big Cat, the Motor City Madman, and Lex Luger.
And Lex Luger, it's all stupid.
It is.
But they didn't let the Candyman. They at least didn't let Candyman tap out. They gave it referee stoppage, and this was bad. It was so bad I had to remember about Mr. Hughes's Hall of Fame video induction. That's how bad it was.
And then up next, as far as Starcade goes, Dick the Bruiser, he doesn't say it, but Dick the Bruiser's gonna mighty the bums. Because he cuts a Dick the Bruiser 1952 promo about how he's gonna be the referee at Starcade.
He also, well, in the promo, he says, "I'm Dick the Bruiser. I'm coming to start. I'm gonna referee the match because I'm the world's toughest guy." What? And then when he does referee it, he wears a horizontal striped cut off shirt. Like, what are you doing?
I'm Dick the Bruiser, and I'm bizarre.
I can only imagine what Vince Russo would have done for somebody named Dick the Bruiser. He would have had him in the Attitude Era.
Bro. All right.
Bro, we're going to team you with Val Venus.
It's funny because the next thing I have here, I literally wrote down Brian Lee versus Z-Man, and then I have no other note.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Z-Man won the match against Brian Lee.
The only note I had was they tried to do a thing where Tom Zink he tried to do like a like reverse, I don't know what I say reverse, like a flipping back or a flipping crossbody, and Brian Lee was nowhere to catch him. So basically Tom Zank, like they did a spot where he went to clothesline him, Brian Lee ducked, Tom Zank hit the top rope, went to do like a reverse crossbody, and Brian Lee was like nowhere to find him, and Tom Zank just crashed into the mat.
Man, I don't remember. I must not have watched this match. Like I must have either zoned into something else on my other screen over here or went to the bathroom or something, because all of that you just told me, I do not remember any of that. So I must not have watched the match, honestly.
It was Bush League. It was bad. We can skip it. I should have skipped it.
The next thing we have here, I wrote down shame on myself because the last time we talked about Captain Mike Rotunda, okay,
yeah,
I remember myself saying, "Oh, here very very soon he's IRS in the WWF." I don't know why that I didn't even think about the fact. We still have to go through Michael Wall Street. Tony Schiavone interviews Michael Wall Street and Alexandra York,
which is Terry Runnels.
Yes.
Who in a few years is going to be all the way live. She was my favorite of that era. Just saying.
Yeah. I just wrote down here. Of course, she's.
Like when I see her, I just think of anytime I watch like Attitude Era WWF, and she comes out, I just think of like DDP's '94 entrance where it's like, go home.
But she's
like
using
a short stack girl, and that's what she. Sorry.
she's using because it's 1990. She's using a super thick laptop, and she's got dot matrix paper. She's running all the stats on, and I wrote down here it's for 1990 when computers are becoming a thing, and people are into what computers can do and everything. This isn't like this.
I think it's a cool gimmick.
It is a cool gimmick. I'm running the stats on these wrestlers to see to get pretty much early kind of algorithm kind of thing of how long it should take and what strategy we should use. My problem that I have with this is she got the stats for a wrestler who's we've never seen before ever, technically.
Yeah,
because Michael Wall Street is, and They talk about how they're going to show us the story of Michael. They don't just go from Mike Rotunda to Michael Wall Street. They talk about how they're going to tell the story this Saturday on World Championship Wrestling. Of course, he's inherited money. You're never supposed to call me Mike Rotunda ever again. I've changed my name to Michael Wall Street. And Michael Wall Street is going to face the Star Blazer. And I wrote down that I have always thought that this Tim Horner as the Star Blazer ring entrance is one of the most awkward ring entrances ever.
That's fucking stupid.
It's like he's trying to pinch one off because he's got to poop.
Yeah.
He's like holding his hands down in his cape, like he's not even letting his cape flow. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. It's like, shouldn't the Star Blazer run to the ring?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like he's got a cape and a mask, and he's just like does this little like weird waddle kind of down to the ring, and he's like jumping around little jumps, and it's just
it's stupid.
Stupid Tim Horner.
Yeah, it's bad. And Michael Wall Street comes out to the WWE network music, but Wall Street actually in real time came out to the Dallas theme, which I always thought was kind of cool. Like, I don't mind the Michael Wall Street character. I really don't.
It's better than
Captain Mike Rotunda.
Yeah, it definitely is. I did write down here that you were talking about JR and Paulie having confrontations and going back and forth with each other being fun. I wrote down here that Paulie says pretty much something about Michael Wall Street getting all this money and now he's better than all these people because they're poor. And Jim Ross pretty much, I think he alludes to the fact that you don't have any expenses. You still live with your parents. But yeah, Jim Ross gives Paulie shit about living with his parents. And Michael Wall Street defeats the Star Blazer here.
Yeah, the match itself was what it was, but I do like the fact that they're introducing the gimmick in a good way, I think.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with this. I just always wonder why. We've talked about before. Obviously, we've talked about before how sweaty Michael Rotunda is. I've always wondered why, as sweaty a guy as he is, why every gimmick he gets, he has to put on more and more clothes. It's like, oh my God, do you guys see how much I sweat?
Can I be naked, Mike Rotunda?
Right. Jesus Christ. So up next, we don't normally go through it, but I just wanted to highlight. So the WCW tag team division, other than those great teams like the Steiners and Doom up at the top, is pretty weak at this point. Because listen to this, Gordon Soley goes through the top 10, the top 10s, and I had to take a screenshot or a picture of my screen of the top 10 tag teams. And I'm just kind of highlighting the first four. Number 10, Norman and the Juicer, which I don't even remember seeing those two ever team up on television. Number 9, the Big Cat and the Motor City Madman, who literally have just been pulled. Well, Madman's been pulled from a pool hall by Paul Dangerously to wrestle on this night. So I don't even think he's wrestled on TV yet. Tim Horner and the Candyman also at this time. I mean, I know back in the Crockett, the studio wrestling time, the Crockett JCP they did, but I don't recall seeing them team up at this time. Number 7 is the Master Blasters, who have had like 5 matches that I know of.
And sucked.
And then, of course, 6 is the Southern Boys. 5 is Ricky Morton and Tommy Rich. Then you have Fabulous Freebirds, the Nasty Boys, Flair and Anderson, the Steiner Brothers. And then, of course, the tag champions are Doom. So, like I said, that top few is good. But I just wanted to point out that we have a pretty weak tag division at this point when Norman and the Juicer are number 10.
Yeah. 2 pedophiles.
Jim Ross and Paul
And
Dane. Oh, go
and
ahead.
I know we're not gonna go. Did you see? I didn't take a screenshot of like the top 10 single stars, but they picked like a really goofy picture for Sting, and they were like,
Like,
"And our world champion Sting." And it was like a super goofy picture. I'm like, what the fuck?
then Jim Ross and Paulie dangerously talk about the Pat O'Connor Memorial Tag Team Tournament that is being held at Starrcade. Which on the commercial for Collision Course they say it's the Tag Team Championship of the Universe. And how up next we're going to have the African qualifying match.
Yeah, it's no good.
It is the South African contingent, which is Sergeant Kruger and Colonel de Klerk. Colonel de Klerk, of course, is Ted Petty.
Rocco Rock.
And they are facing the Beast, which is Bill Tabb, who was also, I think, the Botswana Beast. He was the Black Assassin in World Class.
And Bill Tabb was also, he's a little heavier. I shouldn't say heavier. He's a little chunkier, I should say, here. But Bill Tabb was actually a pretty good-looking athlete back in like the studio days of JCP.
Mm-hmm. And so I knew about him. I don't know about Kalua. I don't know. Well, and it's funny because I was like, I don't know anything about this Kalua guy. So I tried to find anything that I could find. You know, the internet. You can if you hang in there long enough, you can usually find. I couldn't find much of anything on this dude, if at all, because of course you look up wrestler Kalua and you get King Kalua.
Yeah.
And then I just other than this result, I just couldn't find anything for this guy. So I don't know who the fuck he was or what his story was or anything.
He was probably the only guy that was from Africa.
Yeah, probably.
And right. I know, like we poke fun.
He probably wrestled Justin Gabriel's dad 100 times.
Yeah, he's been the Pink Panther. And I know, like on Reliving the Extreme, we like poke fun at him and everything because he was like part of the Public Enemy. But Ted Petty was really fucking good.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
As a worker, like in bell to bell, and I know we like, oh, what? Like we think.
No, he carried that load, Johnny Grunge. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Don't sleep on Ted Petty when it comes to working. But yeah, it's just the match itself. It meant nothing.
Yeah, it is what it is. It was a way to be able to talk about that tag team tournament during Clash of the Champions. And of course, Kruger and de Klerk win. Then we get
I put confused Muchnick.
I actually wrote down Phil Mushnick, God bless him, cuts a promo if that's what you want to call it.
It's confused Muchnick. He's more confused than Sting. Like, hopefully they're not driving together. Muchnick's gonna be like, "Was that the exit?" And Sting's gonna be like, "Was that the Black Scorpion?"
And man, this guy Mushnick, he's still gonna be alive in '97 because they do that thing in '97 for him at the WWF show at St. Louis.
Yeah, Mushnick, he made it, man.
He
lived a long life.
Yeah, he did. But at that
was it
at that
he had that. Oh, good.
I was just gonna say at that '97 thing they do, and it's nice. It's a nice tribute to a man that really, really was an important part of wrestling history. But at that show, he has that. Can I just please pass away? Like he's like, I'm ready to go.
It's kind of like when Bob Orton Jr. goes in the Hall of Fame, and they show Bob and Randy's like, "Where you at, Pops? Where you at, Bob Senior?" And he's like out there, and they're like holding his arm up, like he's fucking Weekend at Bernie's. hell, there's that video. I don't know if it's still on
I
YouTube
think
or
I
not.
said
There's
Phil
like that.
Mushnick. Did I call him Phil Mushnick? I meant Sam
I,
Mushnick,
I,
obviously.
I don't know. But there's that. I don't know if it's still on YouTube or not. There was that Sam Munchnick retirement thing or wherever or whatever in like '81, where they gave him like a VCR.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
Like where he's mid range, he's like, "I'd like to thank everybody," and like he's showing like the presents they gave him, and they gave him like a VCR, and it's like huge. Like if
Well,
New Jack would have, if
at that
New
time it was
if
probably
if New Jack,
$1,100.
yeah, like I'm just saying, like he's like super happy about it. I'm like, yeah, if New Jack would have hit fucking Rocco Rock with that, would have killed him.
Let me see here. I just wanted to look it up. Yeah, he was born in 1905, so at this time he's 85 years old.
Oh yeah, he
And
has no idea what's going on.
he died in 98 at the age of 93.
Yeah, it's like Flair talks about it because Jim Hurd's in charge, you know, and he talks about how Jim Hurd would have an idea and think about something and it might have been good, but then he'd talk to like one of these older guys and then completely change it, you know.
Yeah.
Like he's like one day we'd be this, and then like we would have been up to say like talking to Sam Munchnick, we all would have been in fucking wool tights, you know, that type of thing. But
So the next thing
anyway,
on the show, they show us it's a summary of Lex Luger and Stan Hansen's feud. Then they show us the video of when Paul Lee went to the pool hall to enlist the services of the Motor City Madman. Tony Schiavone interviews Lex Luger. He talks about Stan Hansen, and I wrote down just as a joke for myself. The big cat comes out, and I believe he calls Lex Luger his baby daddy.
come on, baby daddy, you my baby daddy.
I made myself laugh here in the office with that one while I was watching the show.
Yeah, and then it's Big Cat's super ineffective.
Oh
And
shit!
Luger
It's
just
funny. It's funny because it's Luger versus the Motor City Madman. They're both big dudes. Big Cat attacks Luger on the ramp, but Luger beats him back. He winds up beating the Motor City Madman. And I put down these are the most least effective big stooges ever in the history of wrestling.
yeah, he should have been the Motor City Madam. And then when Luger beat him back, Shivani should have been like, someone saw a putty cat or putty. You know what I mean? It's like neither one of them did a good job. I know they're trying to get Luger over, looking to look strong because he's getting ready to go in there with Hanson, but all it did was just make these guys look like fucking jokes.
Yeah, they look like jokes, and Luger's apparently a baby daddy. So
Yeah.
Tony
All
Schiavone
around
then
it fucked.
Tony Schiavone then interviews Nick Patrick to get over. Nick Patrick's essentially getting over the fact that the story here that the Steiners and the Nasty Boys are out of control, man.
Yes. And I know at this point they were wanting to use Paulie as a commentator. Like, so I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can tell me if I'm off base with it or whatever. But I think the Nasty Boys managed by Paul E. Dangerously would have been fucking amazing.
That could have worked.
Like when I saw him come out, I'm like, man, they missed the ball on that. Paulie should have been their manager, I thought.
But yeah, the match here is the Nasty Boys against the Renegade Warriors. Chris and Mark Youngblood. What's that? Yeah,
I hate that team.
It's wild because a lot of times, you know, you'll have a family where maybe two of them are really good and then one isn't so good or something. With this family, one of them was really good and the other two stunk.
Yeah.
Jay Youngblood was great.
Yeah, but I didn't like the team. I didn't like their look. I didn't like anything about them.
Well, luckily this is short. The Steiners come out. They run off the Nasty Boys. And the next thing here is, good Lord.
Yeah. It's not the worst televised match ever, but it's pretty close.
From beginning to end, this entire segment is a train wreck. This entire segment, I don't know how I've never inducted it into our Hall of Shame.
Which it should be.
I wrote down from the beginning, this stinks. So let me just start. Like I said, nightmare from the beginning. I want to go through my notes and then just let me go through my notes, then you go through your notes.
I don't have very many notes, so okay.
Okay, so here we go. First of all, Brian Clark comes to the ring as the Night Stalker.
Sucks.
He has a big, ridiculous-looking axe. Now, this menacing figure, this mysterious man with a big, stupid-looking axe is billed from Florida.
Yes.
And it says that he's accompanied to the ring by Ox Baker.
Which he's not.
I don't even know if Ox Baker, does Ox Baker even work here? I don't.
I think he did for a minute. Which, hold on. Do you remember? I don't know if Vince Russo is smart enough to do this. So I think it. Do you remember when we were watching like a WCW pay-per-view where the cat was like going through the list of people and he said that he was going to be talking to, and he brought up Ox Baker, and he's like, Ox Baker? I don't even think he works here anymore.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
It was like 2000. Like I saw it, I'm like, did they go all the way back for that? But anyway, I'll let you read your notes.
So it's the Night Stalker versus Sid Vicious. The match it's so bad. And
terrible.
Like Brian Clark tries to take out Sid Vicious with this weak, stupid looking, like he's like putting a claw hold on his like love handle. Sid doesn't have a love handle, obviously, and that looks ineffective. And then I wrote down, is Big Cat drunk? Because he just wanders out during this thing.
He's narcoleptic. He probably just woke up.
And then, so obviously there's no finish really.
Well, there is a finish.
There is a finish. I'm saying it's a clusterfuck. That's what I meant. And then I wrote down even JR. And I know it's probably a Turner standards and practices thing, but there's this big thing that's an axe. And he says, Night Stalker trying to attack Sid with this club-like thing.
Big club-like thing.
Big club-like thing.
I have that wrote down. Sid hits Night Stalker with that, and I put it in parentheses. Big club-like thing. You get the 1, 2, 3. It's terrible. And that big club-like thing was obviously plastic. Everything about this was bad. Like I said, it's not the worst televised match ever, but it's very, very close. So when people get mad at me for shitting on Adam Bomb, like, watch this, bitches. He was bad. He sucked. The only person that ever did anything remotely that remotely got me interested or had me think, okay, Brian Clark might be all right, was Jim Cornette in Smoky Mountain. Mm-hmm. He stood out in Smoky Mountain. But other than that, you put him in there with somebody like this or somebody like Kane or The Undertaker or anybody in WWF, it's this guy was trash. He sucked.
Yeah, and like I said, this thing was just an absolute nightmare. It's one of those things that you watch. You watch as a wrestling fan for entertainment purposes because even the bad stuff, the really bad stuff, can be captivating. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. This is what's on when a non-wrestling fan walks into the room and wonders why you like wrestling.
yeah,
It's like it's either this or it's Vince McMahon with his ass out dancing around in a cowboy hat.
or anything from WCW Nitro in 2000.
Which involved a lot of Brian Clark.
Touche. So moving on, Tony Schiavone now interviews the Freebirds. They're talking shit about El Gigante. The Southern Boys come out. El Gigante comes out.
Got out of the box.
We got out of the box. I did write down here that
Gigante in a box.
Undertaken.
Step 1, cut a hole in the box. Step 2, stick your Gigante in the box.
I was gonna say put Jorge Estrada in the box.
Go Jorge in the box.
Tracy Smothers says El Gigante is going to be on the Freebirds like a duck on a June bug. I wrote that down.
Okay.
Probably something he heard his grandmama say.
Yeah. I ain't never heard it.
Like a duck on a June bug. And then we get Missy Hyatt talking about the main event. Watch the main event on Sunday. And Missy, we will definitely watch because you're on it.
Yes. Watch Jim Ross fill me up every week.
By God.
And later on, he actually got to do it.
The next match, the Steiner brothers fight another one of these quickly made up WCW tag teams of this
Magnum
era.
Force.
Magnum Force. We talked about it last week. They just love these type of teams in WCW, don't they?
These are just these power plant dweebs that they find. I don't even call them nobodies. They're just dweebs. Like like I said, I can't even call them nobodies because I don't even remember who they are. And like to me, a nobody is Larry Santos, you know?
Yeah.
And I like when I say nobody, I mean it with like respect. These guys are just dweebs.
I was just looking here, looked at it, brought it up real quick on Wikipedia, the card. Yeah, these guys are such jabrones that
Click on them
on Wikipedia they don't even have a hyperlink. Yeah, you can't even click on to see.
Like red.
Red. Fuck them anyway. The whole point of them getting beat up by the Steiners is so the Nasties can come out and we can continue the brawling between the Steiners and the Nasties. Again, it's the Nasties boys are not long. I don't even think they are at Starrcade. I think they're gone before Starrcade.
They are
because they're actually
they're
in
gone
the
after
they're
that.
actually
They're gone after that Havoc.
But no, because this is after Havoc.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But they are in the Royal Rumble in like 2 months from now in 91.
Yeah,
so
they're gone.
If wrestling's real, they're on the phone with Jimmy Hart right now.
Yes.
I got a motorcycle helmet ready to go, baby.
Do it. I already spray painted
boys, it. You hear that? Nasty boys.
Yeah, this shit's already airbrushed. Let's get these perpetual motion promos going.
Yeah, at this point, if it's real, Jimmy Hart, he's about to get the Nasty Boys. He's He's got the Mountie fired up. He's getting ready to get the Mountie fired up.
Yeah. And like he's got like 3 guarantees that you must give him. Like you're ridiculous. Your gimmick better be ridiculous. You better never want to be world champion, and you better always be ready for perpetual motion, baby. Because everything I do, every promo, everything I do is perpetual motion. I will always say that about Jimmy Hart. That dude never slowed the fuck down, man.
He still has
everything. Everything is just motion.
He's like, you need to call Dino Bravo. You need to call the Earthquake and find out what's up. Find out how you got to move with Jimmy Hart, baby.
Just keep on moving. And speaking of keeping on moving, because Jimmy would do that shit, to keep you confused, keep you paying attention, whatever, or distracted, that's what's coming up next. Because Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, they're getting interviewed by Tony Schiavone, and Ric Flair is distracting everybody, talking about his match with Arn coming up with Doom because he doesn't want anybody to see that his black magic carnival is getting set up behind him. What we all don't know is that the Nature Boy Ric Flair is actually the master of dark magic.
Right, yes. Who knew Ric Flair was a fucking magician?
Yeah. Why did he make Vader disappear in 93? Life would have been so much easier.
He's a master magician.
What I'm getting at.
He was an early master. He was an early master of Photoshop with Elizabeth and Randy Savage.
Yeah, like Ric he was Flair the head of AI.
He has so many talents.
Yeah, he invented AI. And he's got black magic.
And now he's got karma. Because he cancer shamed Jim Ross and then got diagnosed with cancer. Classy, Flair. Real fucking classy. Anyway.
But what I'm getting at is why Flair and Anderson are cutting their promo. You get a glimpse. I don't know if you saw it, but you get a glimpse in the back of them people setting up this unforeseen magic that's going to happen, even though you see everybody setting it up.
So the match that's coming up between Ric Flair and Butch Reed, like Larry Nelson would say, what's the stipulation? The stipulation is if Flair wins, Flair and Anderson are in a rematch against Doom for the NWA World Tag Team titles at Starrcade, and Teddy Long has to become Ric Flair's chauffeur for the day. Or if Butch Reed wins, Teddy Long gets Ric Flair's yacht and limousine, and there is no rematch at Starrcade.
Yeah.
I'd like to see segments with Teddy Long getting the yacht. Holla, 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 holla.
And just crashing it. Like, that would be the best. He just crashes it. By the way, I was trying to do some research because, like, last week where we were talking about who played the Black Scorpion and when and all that.
Mm-hmm.
On this thing with the magic, it's not even a wrestler. It's an actual magician.
Well, all right then.
And
I guess in theory, if you're going to do that, and it's going to be this kind of magic,
you actually need a magician.
You need an actual magician to do it.
Yeah, and his name is Franz, and I don't know how to say his last name. It's spelled Harary.
Franz Harary?
Franz Harary. And he
Oh my God! It's Franz Harari.
And he appeared on a television show, World's Greatest Magic, on which he made a space shuttle appear to vanish. So I don't know. Made the space shuttle appear to vanish. I don't know if that was like the Challenger. I don't know. But he's also performed with other musical acts. So this guy worked with WCW, okay, but he also worked with NSYNC, Cher, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Tone Loc, Styx, Dr. Dre, Usher, Boyz II Men, Queen Latifah, MC Hammer, Tina Turner, Reba McEntire, and Missy Elliott.
You know what? You know what?
What?
Actual Black Scorpion has a hell of a resume.
Yeah. So
That's like his new name now here. He's Actual Black Scorpion.
Yeah. Franz Scorpion. Like, yeah, this guy, he had a career, man. Good for him.
He said, Sting, try to understand. I'm a magic man.
He got there and he was like, Sticks.
Sticks.
Do you remember?
Sticks.
Nice Sticks. Do you remember? Hobo Hall. 1974. Sticks.
Missy Elliott. Work it.
Put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it. Anyway.
We love you, Franz.
That's what Franz Harari did.
It's a hell of a resume, man.
Yeah. He did all that. And well, he did all this. He did all this before that, I think. Except maybe Tina Turner and Styx. Everything else seems like it would have been after it.
So the Black Scorpion thing, actually, he's the only person it worked out for.
Yeah. He's the best performer, was this guy. And what he does next is crazy. Because we get the Danger Zone, and Paulie is going to interview Sting. And for the first time, I thought it was funny because Paulie's trying to interview Sting, and then Sting gets freaked out by the Black Scorpion, but Paulie is more freaked out by the Black
Paulie,
Scorpion.
I put that down here. Paulie is so freaked out. He's like, what?
Yeah, he sounds like Tenzai's music. He's like, what's that? Who is that guy?
Who that guy?
What is he doing?
What's that guy?
Who's that guy? But yeah, Paulie's like, I don't like any of this. Because what the Black Scorpion does, okay, is he comes out in a very quick motion, grabs a fan from the crowd, puts a box on his head, snaps his neck, then puts his neck back into place, then turns the guy into a leopard, and then makes himself disappear. And Paulie and Sting are just standing on the stage being like, what the fuck just happened? Like, this is the only time Black Scorpion was cool. I'm like, that was fun.
I love the Black Scorpion storyline too, because it has so many phases. Like, at first it starts out as just a mysterious guy from 1986 that's going to attack Sting. Yeah. And then it flows into this magic bullshit. And then by the end of it, they've dropped the entire magic thing and don't even really talk about it anymore.
Now he's a space alien.
It's wild. It's one of the wildest fucking roller coasters in wrestling ever. For good or bad, it's wild shit, man.
But this shit was insane, and it just made it better by Sting being totally befuddled and not saying anything, and Paulie being like, "What the heck is going on?" It's like when Simon Dean first saw the Boogeyman.
Yeah,
like,
what the hell?
So I enjoyed this segment. This is like my favorite thing on the show. He snapped the guy's neck, put it back in place, turned the guy into a leopard, and then disappeared. Fantastic.
And then he comes back out and has a match.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because after the Magic Man segment, we get a video chronicling our history right now. And I did write down here, I don't know when in the sequence of the Black Scorpion story, Ole said, fuck it, it's Ric Flair. Because I don't know, from the beginning, I don't think his intention was it for it to be Ric Flair.
No, it was all to be Al Perez. They banked on Al Perez, and he walked, and they had no idea. So by Flair, basically in his, if I remember in his book, by almost by Starrcade, they were like, we have no other idea it's going to be.
It's funny because since we've been doing this Clash series, and we've obviously talked about Flair a lot. I have, like I told you before we went on the air, I'm reading the 6-pack book right now. But I actually have, it's funny because I with my books, I just kind of put them on my desk. Like if I get a new book, I put it in the order of what I want to read. And then once it's read, it goes back in the bookcase or whatever. And it's funny because since we've been talking so much about Flair's book, I actually have his book on the desk right now because I want to reread it.
But I've heard a couple of things. I heard they got to this point and they just said, fuck it, we have no other idea. Let's make it Flair. And the other thing I heard was there was one point where they were gonna make it Barry.
Okay.
But they thought it was like a bad idea because Barry had already done the like imposter sting at Halloween Havoc. Where, oh, this guy's gonna be like an imposter black scorpion or whatever. Those are the two things I heard.
Well, and the reason I said I don't know when they decided it was going to be Flair, but I did write down here because they show us a kind of a synopsis of what's happened between Doom and the Horsemen. And I put down here, as far as the Black Scorpion storyline goes, the Doom and Horseman feud from a viewer perspective in real time is a good distraction to make you think it's not Ric Flair.
Yeah.
It was a good little feud for Arn and Flair to be in as a distraction or as something to do while you're awaiting the big reveal, the big popcorn fart at Starrcade.
And that might have been it, but like I said, they just go ahead, sorry.
And I just wrote down I enjoy the Doom Horseman stuff. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of anything babyface Horseman. But if I have to say something, I would say the Doom Horsemen, when the Horsemen are baby faces, I do enjoy. But most times, if the Horsemen are positioned as the baby faces, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Until you get to Fire Me, I'm Already Fired, with Flair and Bischoff. Obviously, that's hot shit. But
yeah,
the Horsemen should be heels.
I agree.
So our main event is the aforementioned Butch Reed of Doom versus the Nature Boy Ric Flair, which is a good match between these two.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of notes on it.
I don't need it either.
Like I said, every once in a while, like just write down something and put it in like brackets or whatever, and that's my way of asking a question. It just says Butch Reed, yay or nay?
Yay.
I'm yay, Butch Reed.
I'm a Butch Reed fan. I like Butch Reed a lot.
All right.
I've said it before. Whenever we discuss him, he's one of those guys that I don't know if it was just like he didn't want to do it, or if he got his. I really don't know the story very much. I guess I've never looked into it. I don't know why he wasn't a bigger part of the Monday Night War era. Because he wasn't retired by then, per se.
No, I don't know how old he was.
But I don't know why somebody didn't pick him up during that era,
I mean, I know he had been around for a long time. Like I said, I don't know how old or beat down he was or whatever. But
hold on. We can Yeah, I mean, he didn't even officially retire till 2013.
But also, if you look at some of his career, like especially towards like this time, he didn't stay anywhere very long. Like maybe by this point, he just kind of wanted to chillax. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like maybe he made his money. I don't know.
yeah.
But
Like I said, I don't know because I know he worked. I know he worked USWA in the early '90s, like just after this WCW run, I think, and then he worked in Global. I remember he worked in Global. And then by the time the Attitude Era kicked in, he was still out there like on the Indies wrestling, but he never went back to WCW or the WW. I don't know. I mean, it's a conversation that I don't know the answer. We never will. But it just always surprises me that he would have been a perfect fit for like the Nation. You know what I mean, or something.
yeah, but he burned that WWE bridge with that Intercontinental title thing, and who knows how he
Yeah,
left
but it's
WCW.
Vince.
I
It's
know,
Vince.
but it is weird with Vince sometimes. There was some of those guys where he was just like, nope.
Did you ever read the? Did you ever read the story or the thing with Tommy Dreamer about why he thinks Bundy never went in the Hall of Fame, or why he knows why Bundy never went in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Bundy sent him that email or whatever,
No, he
or that
called
voice.
Bundy,
Yeah, he
and,
called Bundy.
Bundy
Dude,
called him back, and Bundy said, "Tell Vince I'll be happy to
Bundy,
come
I
in
want
and do
my
a
money.
thing." It was like $1,500,
Yeah,
and this is like
yeah,
2003. He's like, "Tell
if not,
Vince."
tell him to go fuck himself if he doesn't
Yeah,
want to. Bundy said, "Go fuck yourself," and then Vince's email be like, "Well, let's move on then,"
yeah. Let's move
or
on then.
whatever. All right.
Yeah, apparently he thought Vince owed him $1,500 from like
Yeah.
1995 or whatever, and
Tell him to go. Tell him to go fuck himself. All right. So I'm saying, like, maybe that was like a Butch Reed type situation.
possibly. Anyway, we got way off King Kong. Anyway, that's what we do here. But I wrote down pretty much like I don't know what the situation was. I guess I'm not. But my notes say it looks like Butch Reed's going to win the match, but somehow Teddy Long ruins it. So apparently he.
Um, I know Reed hit a shoulder block. Basically, what Long did was distract the referee, and then it allows Arn to get in the ring and strike Butch Reed with a chair, and lets Flair get the 1, 2, 3, and that's how the match ends with Ric Flair victorious. So now I'm assuming, if I remember the gimmick right, Peanut Head needs to drive Ric Flair around for a day.
Yeah, I remember. There's an episode of Saturday Night or Main Event or something where it's your classic shit. Teddy Long shows up at the limousine. Flair hands him a little jacket and a little hat, and then they
A
do
little
like
hat.
some segments where Teddy's driving Flair around town or whatever. It's your
Yeah.
it's your common pro wrestling. It's kind of it feels like Memphis.
Yeah.
It's like a Memphis gimmick.
Um, there's a few of those segments that work. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, my favorite one is Klondike Klondike Bill and Eric Bischoff. That's the best one.
That's fun.
They're in the truck and Klondike Bill's making Bischoff do all the shit and everything. It's fun.
That would have been that was something that, and I don't know, that was something they didn't do to that extent with Mr. McMahon. That would have been a fun thing for Mr. McMahon, the Mr. McMahon gimmick. Like make Mr. McMahon have to be on the ring crew.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. The Mr. McMahon character got his comeuppance plenty. I'm not saying he didn't. We didn't have many fun Vince McMahon getting his
Yeah.
comeuppance
Vince
things. But
having to do manual labor of some sort.
yeah, that would have been like Vince is the ticket taker.
Yeah. But yeah, I like Bischoff having to set the ring and work for Klondike. That's good shit.
So, of course, the question, and I think we both might have the same answer. I'm going to have you answer first. Between this clash and the
Actually
last
wrote it down.
clash, did we go up in quality go down in quality, or stay about the same?
I put no step forward, no step back.
All right. Well,
It was what it was.
I put step back. So we weren't in agreement.
Okay.
I thought that this clash was a step back. I thought that there weren't as many standout matches, and a lot of the stories that are going on I didn't enjoy. And although there's that train wreck aspect to like the Magic Man thing or the Sid Night Stalker thing, there's the train wreck thing, but from a real business perspective, I look at those as negatives. Like for us looking back on it and wanting to have a chuckle and as wrestling fans and watch it as a train wreck or to review it on a podcast, it's fun. But in real time as business decisions, there's a lot of bad business decisions being made at this time.
There are, but
so I say step back.
I just like Frankie Ragamataz or whatever his name is. Turn that guy into a leopard. That was fun.
Speaking of step backs, next week's show we're taking a break from the Clash of Champions, and we're going to do a moonwalk of step backs in pro wrestling, as we do it every year in June. Next week we will have some of our fellow WNR podcast alumnus with us.
Oh, you got some of them?
Yes.
Okay. Good for you.
From what I understand, Kyle Army will be here. Archie Mitchell will be here. Mark Bruce says he's going to try to make it.
What?
Yes.
You're trying to just big dog onto the fun shit? Like, I'm doing the work.
But next week, it is the beloved We Can't Wrestle podcast, Hall of Shame. And I gotta let me write this down. By Kazoo.
I gotta find a theme song for our Hall of Shame.
Are there kazoos at Walmart?
No.
Damn it.
But I will find a theme song for our Hall of Shame.
I have always wanted to do the WWE Hall of Fame theme, but with a kazoo.
I get it, but I can't find a kazoo. But I will find us a song that could possibly be public domain for the Hall of Shame.
All right. Well, but yes, the Hall of Shame is next week, so we'll be taking a break from the Clash of the Champions. And then we'll be back, of course, in 2 weeks with that Clash of the Champions 14 heading into 1991. Lots of shit going on in WCW in 91.
Lots of badness. We got some PN news.
Flair's about to fucking dip.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he doesn't dip till the mid-year, but you know what I mean.
I can't remember if Tony Schiavone laughing at PN News on national television is on a Clash of the Champions or not. But that happens in 91. He raps, and then Tony Schiavone's like, all right.
I want to check here. Let me see. 1, 2. Okay, there's 4. There's actually one less Clash in 91. Because, like, we have a big stretch because it goes from the first one is the one in January. And then the next one isn't until June. So there's a big stretch at the beginning. Anyway, that's for another day. Again, next week, Hall of Shame. Then we'll continue Clash of the Champions the week after. As I always say, oh, man, we didn't read Rigamus's comments this week. I'm sorry, Rigamus.
Do you have any?
I do. You want to go ahead and do them real quick?
Some? Let's read what you wrote, yes.
Read what I wrote. Rigamus, you'll never get credit for being the great listener that you are.
Riganate.
Riganate. All right. We mentioned Falling Down last week. Rigamus said Falling Down is one of my favorite movies. Me too, dude.
See, sometimes Rigamus mentions shit that I don't remember.
Because we talked about Michael Douglas, and I said I like Falling Down. He said Stan Hansen was great. Best thing about this show. Rick Derringer is a great musician, super talented.
Yes.
We talked about the power plant people. The only guy out of the power plant I thought of besides you guys named was Marcus Alexander Bagwell. I'm not 100% sure he was a power plant guy, though. I don't know. I'd have to look into that.
He wasn't. He was.
Well, I remember he was the stranger dude in, or the masked stranger.
He was the handsome stranger.
Handsome stranger.
Handsome stranger. I'm not saying that he didn't possibly get some training in the power plant, but he wasn't just a guy that went to the power plant. Like, he was somebody they actively seeked out, if that makes sense.
The number 9 ranked tag team was JYD and El Gigante. I pity the teams that had to work against those guys. How can you make that look good?
You can't.
As far as Clash 12 goes, he says overall it was a pretty good show. The Nasty Boys versus Fulton Taylor might have been the best match of the night. Luger versus Flair was very good. At least the girls actually wrestled. Kevin Nash looked better here than he ever will look again. Brad Armstrong is the best quote-unquote jobber in history. Tommy Rich got a win after jobbing on the previous clashes. Stan Hansen was amazing. And then he said, P.S. I watched Clash 13 already on accident. Let's just say even if this clash wasn't great, it's far better than what's about to come, and we did review that tonight. Rigamus. Let's see. He says, I'm guessing you have one. This is one of the references I made last week when I don't even remember what the conversation was we were having, but remember when I brought up Dame Edna and I said, Do you think anybody listens to this show even then? He said, I'm guessing you have one listener who knows who Dame Edna is. So apparently Rigamus knows.
Because it's you. So I understand.
He says, I love Sid Vicious. Kevin Nash was nowhere near as good as Sid Vicious. And I was serious when I said Kevin Nash looks better here than he ever will again. I mean it physically. I was surprised that Nash looked that jacked, to be honest. I don't remember Diesel having any muscle definition at all. Steel was...
I hate Kevin Nash.
He doesn't like Kevin's. He doesn't like Kevin Nash, Kevin Sullivan. And lastly, the Freebirds Los Angeles video was awful. It looked like they had hired 8 people off the street to pretend to be fans, which is probably exactly what they did.
Yes.
So thank you, Rigamus, for your comments.
Yes. Thank you, buddy.
And anybody else that wants to, obviously, we have some listeners on YouTube. I've seen, because our numbers on YouTube are gradually going up. If you're listening on YouTube and you want to comment, feel free. I will read them. I almost forgot to read his comments this week, because we got to fucking talking about Home Alone for too long. But thank you to anybody that listens, anybody that supports us. WNR Podcast Network on YouTube, WNR Podcast Network on Facebook. That being said, now we are going to sign off because my bladder is full. And we'll see you next week, everybody, for the once a year beautiful thing that is. Donald Trump would call it a big, beautiful thing. It's a big, beautiful thing. Everybody's saying it. The Hall of Shame next week.
Yeah. Keep the change, you filthy animals.